Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Ed and then Dave Zangaro.
Yeah, hey Nick.
Hey, Ed.
Yeah, just obviously the offensive line played well yesterday, but you had Sua in there for really the first time, I guess, as a starter. How do you think he did when you looked at the tape?
Yeah, I thought he played a really good game. And he's been there. Maybe not as many games last year, but in 2021, he played some big games for us, some meaningful games for us, and so we had a lot of faith in him. And I thought he played outstanding. We're 99 for LA lined up was a lot of times over him or Landon, and I thought again, just thought to hold him out of the stat sheet as far as sacks go, and then to be able to run the ball efficiently like we did. I thought he played a really good game. Again, got a lot of faith in him, and he stepped in. He's a really powerful guy, and you could see that in some of his pass sets, on some games and some stunts that were happening, and just we're really pleased with Sua these last two games.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Chris.
Hey, Nick, now that you're through 5 games, and especially after yesterday, what stands out about Sean Desai's in-game adjustments?
Yeah, yesterday obviously did a really good job of adjusting there. They like we talked about yesterday. They had really two drives and a 2-minute drive in that first half, and so got to some adjustments there in that second half, with being the limited plays that they got in that first half. Got to some adjustments, and that's obviously you want to be able to see that. It's our job as coaches to put the players in positions to succeed, and right, and you try like heck to do that as much as you possibly can Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But in reality, you're going to have to do it some on Sunday as well, based off of how offensive or a defense is attacking you. And Sean's done a nice job. That's a group effort by the entire coaching staff over there, talking through the answers of, when a certain guy like Cup is playing the way he is, of what to get to, and they did a nice job of getting to some of those answers. And then, with all that being said, even though they get to the answers, the guys got to go out there and execute. And I thought, again, we try to do our best to put them in the best position to succeed, and then it's on the guys to execute. And both were on fire yesterday there in the second half.
Go ahead, Chris, and then John.
Afternoon, Nick. You guys are
Okay.
past the poll now. And there's lessons you learn about each team, each iteration of the team. What have you learned about this current roster that you didn't know through training camp, either on or off the field?
What was the first part, Chris? I'm sorry.
I was saying you're past the quarter point of the
Okay.
season.
Yeah, I got
What did you learn in that one?
What do we learn? I just think again, you got a team that likes to have fun with each other and holds each other accountable, and so I think those are the things that stick out, and will have won in a couple different ways that kind of shows the character of your team. I think you see, you guys get to see it Sunday. I get to see it Monday. Monday through Saturday. A team that really works hard, and has this growth mindset. You can't have growth mindset and then not go out there and practice your butts off. They go together, right? And so our practices have been intense, while through these first 5 weeks, and we've handled the different scenarios, right? We've had a West Coast game, we've had a Monday night game, we've had a Thursday night game, we've had 1 o'clock game, right? And so just handling the, just understanding that every game's different, every scenario is different, and controlling what you can control. And our guys I just think they have this mindset of we're going to get better each day and control what we can control. High character, guys that love being around each other, playing for each other, don't want to let each other down. All those things are very obvious, and guys that are having fun out there together. Those are all things that have been very obvious to me through the first 5 weeks.
Go ahead, John, and then Tim.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, John.
With the slot, you kind of mentioned with some of the adjustments on defense, but coming into the game, the slot plan sort of piecemealed it together, or was that the plan to rotate those three guys?
Yeah, obviously, Roby's done the most of it in his career, but we didn't want to put him in a position where he had to play the entire game. That just wouldn't have been fair fair to him with, being off, for the last couple weeks. And so there was going to be a rotation, and I thought the guys did a nice job. Again, Cooper Kupp's a really good player, and he was able to get some things going on early on. But with Eli and with Mario and with Bradley, they did a nice job collectively, of handling, of playing that game. And so, we'll see where we are moving forward. But again, I thought all those guys did a nice job under the circumstances we were playing under.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Al.
Sorry about that. There's not a lot of defensive tackles as rookies that do what Jalen Carter is doing. What has been critical, sort of in his work that is leading to this?
Yeah, first of all, phenomenal player who works really hard to continue to get better. And that's been a phenomenal player through the first 5 weeks, right? And so he's just got to keep doing it. And when you saw that he was a phenomenal player in college, right? And so he's had great first 5 weeks. We have high hopes for him, but this is, he's got to keep proving it over and over and over and over again. Because if you want to be considered in the top part of this league as a football player, it's about consistency and it's about doing it, year in and year out. So he's had a good start. He's got to continue to put the work in. We know he has the talent. We know he's a phenomenal talent. Based off of what you've seen so far, what we've seen in practice, what we saw in college, and now it's just his job just to continue to grow. He's got great guys to lean on, with Fletch and with BG over there, right there on that side. He's getting great work in practice against Landon, against Jason, against Sua, against Cam. And so he's just got to continue to be on the rise. I think you've seen that he's gotten a little bit better each week. We won't put him in Canton yet, right? He's got to just keep going each and every day. And getting better in this, and it's about consistency. He's got the ability to do it. He's just got to be consistent with it, and that's by working hard and growing each day.
Go ahead, Al, and then Olivia.
Hey, Nick. I have kind of a two-part question. You had a whole day now to think about that 32-second drive to end the first half.
I wouldn't say I've had a whole day, man. I got to sleep around 4. Woke up around 10, 9, 10, right back. So the whole day thing, but I'm ready to answer your question. Come on.
You had some time.
I've had a little bit of time.
Reflect on that. A little bit of time to reflect on it, on how well your coaches and your players performed in that 32-second drive. And A.J. Brown, his toughness during that drive, and the fact that he didn't react to the penalties when he got hacked 2 times. Could have, gone off the deep end a little bit, but he didn't. He stayed within himself, and you guys pulled it off. Can you talk about that?
Man, it's hard. It's really hard to score a touchdown there from that. You're trying to get yourself into field goal range and see what happens, right? And so we were able to get ourselves into field goal range by just a phenomenal play by Jalen and AJ on that slant, and obviously they made a mistake with the horse collar there that put us in position to be able to play for a touchdown once we got into that position. And then again another good play by Jalen and AJ to get us to the 1, and then we went into the quarterback sneak after that and scored a touchdown. I think AJ did a nice job of keeping his composure. Sometimes when you get pulled down like that or interfered with, and you want that touchdown, your emotions can take over. He did a good job of keeping his composure, playing the next play, being completely under control, and we needed both those plays that AJ made to get us to that point. And so I can't say enough about how well the players executed that drive. A little unconventionally, right? Because you think I think that drive started with 32 seconds. We got the first down, or the first down play was, a 9-yard gain. Then we had an incomplete pass off of a scramble, and then we hit I think that was the next one. We hit the big one to AJ. See, even though I didn't have a lot of time to watch that tape, I do remember the sequence of the plays. Then it went to the fade in the end zone, and then to the quarterback sneak. So that was something else. How the players executed that drive. Brian did a nice job of calling that. We try to put ourselves as coaches in those positions as frequently as we possibly can. That was unique. That's a unique scenario that we were in yesterday. And we did Brian did a good job calling it. Even better job by the players executing it. And that was a big momentum swing, right? They had all the momentum after the touchdown to number 17 over there. They had all the momentum. And then we were able to flip that momentum, because that was an emotional minute and a half. I can imagine it was emotional being on the field. I know it was an emotional as a fan. It was an emotional minute and a half of football that there was some really big momentum changes. And we were able to get momentum going into halftime and keep that momentum, for the most part of the rest of the game.
Go ahead, Olivia, and then Chris.
Hi, Nick. Yesterday you
Hi, Olivia.
spoke a little bit about some of the red zone inefficiencies that you faced. I know you'd also mentioned that you wanted to take some time to just go back and look. I guess kind of two parts. One, was there anything else aside from getting into those like 3rd and long situations that you felt like kind of some of the root issues of the inefficiency in the red zone?
Again, it's always going to be down. I'm always going to put us in position first as coaches that we got to put them in the best positions to succeed. And then the execution, right? And so there's some times where we're going to want some play calls back or some schemes back that really it's schemes and play calls. Hey, maybe we should have called this in this scenario. That's what you have to go through, as a coach, that you have to be very willing to just drag yourself through the mud and say, hey, I wish we would have maybe had this scheme look a little bit different in this scenario, or went with this scheme there, right? And so it's not always about what the play call is at the certain time. And I'm just trying to, explain this to you guys. So it's not only about calling the right plays in the right scenarios, right? But it's also about, hey, was this scheme the best scheme for this defense looking back at it? And so that's the evaluation you go through as a coach. So sure, we're going to want some of those things back. We're going to want some of the execution things back. Also, when we look at it, like, hey, maybe we should, again, we're all in this thing together. And so that's been the process so far is, hey, did we love this scheme here in this scenario? Did we love this scheme here in this scenario? And then just some of the executions. But at the end of the day, 2 for 5 there. Again, I won't count the last one. It was kind of a concede. And there were different reasons and there were different variations of why the drive, didn't, play out. One thing, I'm not saying I always do this, but, I'm kind of convicted in in areas of like, hey, with your 3rd and 2 and you lose yardage, that's tough to go in and then try to get a 4th and 3 after you've lost yards. I'm not saying it's impossible because but in that scenario, I chose to kick it in that scenario after the lost yardage on the little bubble that we ran. And so again, there's just variations of why it's our job to get it fixed and to be more efficient in that area. Like we were in other situations. Like we've been really highly efficient in 2-minute situations. We've been highly efficient in 4-minute, 3rd down. It's just red zone right now. We're struggling a little bit, and so again, when you're struggling a little bit, there's always reasons why, and it's never just one thing. And so, but again, our job is to get it fixed, and we're working like crazy to do that.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Ed.
Nick, you mentioned your dad yesterday about his battle when he was going through the cancer and everything. And first of all, what was going through your mind when all that stuff was going on? And then secondly, what did you what did you take away from that fight that he had?
Shoot, yeah, thanks for that question, Chris. What goes through my mind when I talk about something like that is you all know I'm an emotional person, and so it gets you a little bit emotional at first. But one thing that my dad, man, as hard as that was, and you ask my dad, he'll say the same thing. You ask my family, he'll say the same thing I'm about to say. As hard as that was as a family, and now I was young, and they did. My parents did a great job of being able to give me information that I needed at that time and keep information from me that I didn't need at that time. As hard of a time as the cancer battle was for my family and my dad, when we look back on it, it's something that made our family stronger, closer, knows how to fight through adversity. Man, like, so many things that I can look at as a coach, and I have so many coaching mentors out there, Larry Karras, Frank Reich, right? All these, my dad, right? My brothers, so many coaching mentors that I have out there. Man, there's so many coaching things that are, coaching is teaching, right? Coaching is life. Like, so many things that I think back of, like, man, I was learning things as a kid. I'm getting ready to be a coach based off of things that my dad taught me, and right? And so I can, like, no, my dad doesn't complain ever. My dad didn't complain through that. Like, when he wanted to rest, when he was tired going through the chemo, he went upstairs. He didn't let us see him, let us see him down. And so really that cancer battle, you ask, like I said, you ask anybody in my family, it was good for us in the sense of we see the light of what we had to go through that as a family because it made us stronger as a family in all those different things. And the other thing it told me is my dad's the toughest son of a bitch I know. And like, even now he's got a, if you ever see my dad, he's got a drop neck. So he's got to hold his head up to look forward, because he can't hold his head up on his own because the muscles in his neck don't work anymore. I've never heard him complain about that. So how do you get that as a man? You get that as a man through the things that you've went through. My dad was tough as hell when he went through cancer, and he's tough as hell now. And and he's 75 years old. So now I'm gonna get emotional again. But so many things go, like when I'm able to wear anything with like this, right? The first thing I'm thinking about is my dad and what that's done for our family. They have this thing in Buffalo, Ride for Roswell. It's a cancer ride, a bike ride, and what was really special, I got to do that with my brothers and with my dad of this bike ride there, and everyone who's survived cancer puts their hand up, and that was so cool to see my dad standing there proud, like I've beaten cancer, and that was a cool moment for us to share. Just so I don't even know why I went there with it, but like just trying to give you information here. But that means, again, just, thanks for the question.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
We have time for 2 more quick ones, so go ahead, Ed, and then Dave.
Good stuff there, Nick. It makes my question feel inconsequential, really. But I want to ask you about that touchdown at the end of the first half. The quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
It didn't look like you were lined up like you were going to do that so-called brotherly love thing, but the Rams called timeout. You had Kenny Gainwell lined up initially. They called timeout, and then you came back out, and you were in that formation. So I don't know if you switched plays or if you were going to motion into it, or no insight on that one.
Maybe we were, maybe we weren't.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I think that I just want to keep that one. Maybe later.
Fine. Thanks.
Go ahead, Dave.
Nick, the disparity of snaps between Quez and Olamide, are you comfortable with where that is, or is there a chance that we could see that gap
That was our plan. That was our plan. OZ's done a nice job. He really has, and he does some things really well. And one thing with Quez is sometimes Quez's abilities aren't always shown. Like, Quez got to share the ball with a lot of guys, right? And so you're not going to see like what Quez did in 2021. You might not see as much because we have AJ, we have Devontae, we have Dallas, we have DeAndre, right? All these different targets. But what is unknown about Quez, what can't ever show up on a stat sheet with Quez is his ability to stretch the field. His speed is real. And so there's a lot of things that happen where maybe it's a slant that AJ catches where Quez clears the middle, to make it a cleaner throw. So Quez's speed brings a real factor. And so we were comfortable with the way that looked. I'm still comfortable with the way that looked of our snap counts yesterday. You know, that's a game-by-game decision. Again, very pleased with OZ and the things that he can do. You know, and obviously, and like I said, Quez's speed is something that the defenses have to account for, and I'm sure glad we have him back, you know, playing football.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.